All right, guys, we're here. We're at the quarter mark somehow of the USF football season. It's strange. We're here. USF faces FAMU tonight at 7 p.m. Now, this is TDS Live, the FAMU pregame show with your host, Nathan Bond and Seth Varnadore, who makes everyone smarter. I think you got a lot of publicity and recognition for your appearance on the Bay News 9 Spectrum Sports podcast with Chris Torello. So, Seth, how's it feel to be famous now?
Oh yeah, no, I've already got people saying that I'm like a secret agent and just telling people what they want to hear and all kinds of stuff like that. So I don't know if famous is the word, but it was fun getting on there talking football. I always love talking football and USF football.
Exactly. Let's do a little bit more of it. We've previewed the game ahead for tonight. We've done it with the film room. We've done it with our podcast. We've done it with various articles and whatnot. But let's get you guys prepped for tonight. We've got an important game for USF. They're looking to win for the first time in over a year. They're looking to not become the ninth. Depending on how the rest of the day goes, looking to become the ninth team to lose to an FCS school. Let's hope that doesn't happen. And they're looking to keep their winning streak against FAMU intact. They've blown them out all three times. Why not do it again tonight? USF is lacking that star player that has caused FAMU trouble. Andre Hall, Quentin Flowers, Marlon Mack, BJ Daniels in the past. Unless someone surprises us, it could be Xavier Weaver. Could be a number of people. But Seth, what do you want to see from USF as we go into tonight's game?
I think you want to see a fast start. You want to see them come out and kind of continue that momentum they built up in the second half last week. So you don't want them coming out sputtering. Come out, start fast on offense. Let your defense play from in front for a change, and see how that looks. Get off the field on defense. Just kind of have a fast start on all sides of the ball. Don't kind of lull into it because it's an FCS team. Coach Scott said they're not overlooking anybody. They can't. He's like, basically, we haven't done anything to overlook anybody. So I'd like to see that from the jump. Let's see them come out and just jump all over FAMU and get up early and then play both quarterbacks early too. That's part of it. That's what I want to see. I want to see them come out early and establish kind of that they're going to run this game.
Absolutely. The talk's always about the quarterbacks. FAMU has their own quarterback issues of themselves. They're cycling through two quarterbacks right now, coming off of not playing in 2020, and they had a really good quarterback in 2019 that led them to a 9-2 season who's not there anymore. So they're trying to find a replacement as well. It seems like USF's trying to find a replacement for the guy who left 4 years ago still. So we understand the quarterback struggles. Let's throw up the depth chart that we got for both schools and let's kind of take a peek. No big surprises for USF this week. Brock Nichols seems like he's going to be stepping in for the injured Mikaela Point, who's going to be out for a few weeks with a hip issue. So he did have the big interception against Florida last week. Let's see if he can kind of step in with more reps and excel. Seth, we talked about it. They ran a little bit more three safety looks against Florida last week and had some relative success to it. They didn't get beat deep in the second half, which was a positive to say the least. How do you think USF will attack FAMU tonight? Defensively, I should say.
I think on the defensive side, with that lack of safety depth, maybe you don't see as much of that look, that kind of three safety look. But if they're going to be playing their normal kind of defensive looks where they have a star, Vincent Davis is kind of technically that safety corner hybrid guy that he can roll back and you could use him that three safety. So they might get into some of that. Offensively, FAMU is going to look a lot like USF. I think there are a lot of 11 personnel, so one back, one tight end, kind of a spread team. They've got a couple pretty good running backs. And then they got a receiver, Xavier Smith, who wears number 19. He's probably their best player on offense. He's got a lot of preseason accolades, so they'll probably try to get him the ball. But like you said, they're having some quarterback troubles. I think they started the season off with Rashawn McKay. I've got him listed as a starter here for the game. A lot of the FAMU, starters are kind of guesses. They have a lot of oars on the depth chart on both sides of the ball, and including like both sides of the line of scrimmage. So they're still trying to figure out their offensive line. So I would expect USF to take advantage of that and bring some pressure and get these quarterbacks. But Rashawn McKay, I think, will be the starter. Junior Maritovich started the last game, and then McKay seemed to come in and kind of settle down the team a little bit. I believe Maritovich threw 2 picks in the game. So I think you'll see McKay. He started game 1, came in last game, kind of played pretty well. So I think you'll see him first, but you may see 2 quarterbacks. I would expect USF to be able to get pressure on the quarterback, really affect him, shut down the run game. And you're just hoping you don't let any explosive plays. Limit those explosive plays, and it'll be really hard for a team like FAMU to consistently go up and down the field on you.
Absolutely. You mentioned Xavier Smith. With FAMU not playing in 2020, his stats from 2019 were still ridiculous for that 92 team. He had 77 catches for 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns, all 3 leading the Rattlers there. So he's back. David Maggio, also, I think he had like about 40 catches in 2019 as well, and he's back. FAMU likes to spread the ball around. 4 receivers have more than 6 catches and 60 yards already through 2 games, so they do spread the ball around. So the USF, the secondary, I think they may be tested. I don't know how effective the quarterbacks will be. They are completing 60% of their passes as a duo, so there is that aspect that they are fairly accurate. So you gotta be at your best for USF to really kind of put the clamps down on this team and give the offense the ball and get some momentum going forward as we travel to BYU next week. This is for all intents and purposes, this is a get right game, right, for USF to kind of springboard them into the last part of their non-conference schedule as we look towards conference play on October 2nd at SMU. Big, I don't want to say it's a big game, but it's a must win. You have to win these games. You can't lose these bye games, especially with how bad USF has struggled over the last year and a half plus. So that's what I want to see. I want to see some consistency, some tenacity. I want to see some nasty defensive plays from these guys, and just really let FAMU know that they're not the pushovers a lot of people around the country think they are.
Yeah, some killer instinct, right? Get up early and put them away early. Get out in front, play out in front. I'd love to see on the offensive side of the ball. I think USF can attack FAMU with some of their motion and things like that. Just watching a little bit of FAMU against Fort Valley State, they will sometimes rotate their safeties, so they'll totally move their safeties up and down. So they'll have a guy back here. If you motion that side, he comes down, the other guy goes back. You can mess with that a little bit, just motioning like halfway across and coming back. So I think USF will have some opportunities to make some big plays. And you want to see those kind of downfield, big, explosive plays, especially in the passing game would be great. But really, you'll take them from anywhere at this point in the season. But some explosive plays, some big plays, really get the crowd. I think you'll probably have a decent crowd, second home game of the year after coming off last year where you didn't have a lot of people there. Get some crowds something to be excited about. That's kind of what I'm hoping. They just come out with some confidence from carrying over from second half of last week and really just go out there and kind of hit the ground running.
Absolutely. I think Xavier Weaver's in line for a big day here. He can really stretch the field. He's averaging over 35 yards per catch so far this year, and I believe he's already topped last year's receiving yards total through 2 games. I think he's at 141. He had 139 last year. That's the step in the right direction. That's what we want to start seeing from this team. I know he got a shout out from SeaWorld from one of his classes having to do that. I remember having to do that at USF as well. So huge shout out to SeaWorld for even recognizing it and showing Xavier love. And these are the games that can really boost your confidence going into next week. For Cade Fortin, for Timmy McClain, what do they have to do to kind of help propel them, maybe even solidify a starting spot next week and really help their case as the starter going forward I'm unsure about the two quarterback system. I personally love it. I don't know if Jeff Scott and Charlie Weiss Jr. are going to do it. So what do they need to do tonight to kind of separate themselves from the pack?
I mean, obviously, number one is score points, so lead your team on drives. But they seem to be putting a lot of emphasis on decision making, especially in the RPO game. That's something he brought up. Coach Scott did multiple times after the Florida game, is making the correct decision, whether it's being the correct time to hand the ball off on the run or the correct time to pull it and throw it. So if they're going to still kind of continue with a lot of the RPO stuff, that'll be a big component, I think, of what they want to do. But what I'm hoping to see, kind of from each of them individually, is you're hoping to see Fortin kind of continue on kind of his trajectory of improvement from game 1 to game 2. I thought he was much improved. He hit all the throws that were there. What you want to see from him now is let's hit a couple of those downfield throws, right? And then McLean's almost the opposite. He's hit a couple of the throws downfield. Now I want to see him work some of these intermediate passes. He had a great one. He did a great job on one RPO to Sean Atkins on the touchdown drive. Let's see more of that. I want to see a little bit more, getting on more in sync with the receivers on some of these shorter, quicker throws. Let's see him be more on point there. I think if you kind of see from both those guys, it's going to lead to a even tougher decision. But number one, points, and then let's see those improvement in those kind of small areas from those guys.
Absolutely, and you guys see on the screen here, the line for tonight is USF by 21, and the over/under is 49. I feel pretty confident going into tonight's game that the over is going to hit maybe by USF by themselves, and that I think they'll cover. I think in the preview I wrote on Friday, I think I put 38-21 USF. Call me a homer, but I'll give them those 5 extra points if that means they cover. They're just kind of, being a week from, that Florida game, that first half that left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. You can see through the film room, through just the various things that we've been able to talk about and talk through. USF's a further along than maybe the scores of the first 2 games have indicated. I think they're closer to what we saw in the second half versus Florida than we saw, that week 1, 45-0. That's what we want to see. We want to see steady progress. We knew we were probably going to be 0-2 going into tonight's game. Let's move it to 1-1 or 1-2, and maybe steal a game on the road against BYU. Even though they're coming off a pretty big upset win of themselves, losing all that talent and still beating a ranked Utah team last week. So a lot to look forward to. Seth, you mentioned before we jumped on Gentle Hunt, FAMU's potential starting defensive tackle, is a former USF commit. So it's a
revenge game.
It could be a revenge game.
And really, when you play these smaller in-state schools, all the guys that are in-state are going to have a chip on their shoulder. Because how many of these guys would have loved an offer from USF? How many of these guys, are coming through? Even some of these guys that are older was with the previous staff, but Gentle Hunt, he was a Charlie Strong commit. I think you said he decommitted in late November of 19.
Mm-hmm.
So not too far from when Scott came on. So maybe Jeff Scott didn't extend that offer. So, you're going to have, these guys aren't going to come out and lay down. That's one thing for sure. Just reading their quotes, they think they're going to come in and win. So this is not a game you want to let them hang around. You want to set the tone early, really get up, take some shots down the field, hopefully hit some stuff early. And then once you get that kind of the pecking order established, then, I think both teams will settle into the game. But FAMU's not going to come out timid. They're going to come out thinking they can win. Jeff Scott's very familiar with the head coach. Head coach also, Willie Simmons, was also, I think, BJ Daniels' quarterback coach in high school. So there's a lot of connections to the USF program. He's familiar with these guys. He's not going to be in awe of anybody. So they're going to come in here to win. USF's got to kind of set the tone very early. If you let them hang around, these guys with those chips on their shoulders will start believing, and then you get in a game you don't want to be in. But I don't envision that happening. But you never know.
Exactly. It's why you play the game. And Seth, for FAMU to kind of brew an upset here, what what does USF have to do wrong tonight for FAMU to hang around and try to pull off the upset?
Turn the ball over. Have some bust on defense where you cut, like Xavier Smith, you cut him loose and they get some big explosive pass plays. The teams you're not going to get, I don't think, when you're playing teams that you're more talented than, you want to make them earn it all the way down the field. So if you start giving up some home run shots to them, and then they get out in front and they kind of limit what you can do, that's when you get into bad games. But it's really, if USF take cares of the ball, it's my points every week. I call it the Marino rule. After my old head coach Dave Marino, shout out to him, just beat a big rival last night. Turnovers, explosive plays, third downs. You win all three of those, and then you add in field position, which is somewhat connected with turnovers, but also special teams. You win all those areas, you're not going to lose very many games. If you let FAMU come and win like turnover margin and explosive plays, now you're going to find yourself in a much tighter game than you should be in. So I think you come out, you limit their explosive plays, keep everything in front of you. Maybe take a few chances with blitzing, but you can do safe blitzes, and they've showed that in the past. Be aggressive but not crazy, and then don't turn the ball over on offense. If you do all that, it should be a win.
I agree. I think the one thing I'll add to that is USF's got to convert some more third downs offensively, and they've got to get off the field defensively. That's been an issue. They were a little bit better against Florida last week, but I think they converted 4 of their first 6, and then went 0 for 8 for a stretch of time there that really kind of helped salt the game away for the Gators. So you got to be able to hit that stuff. They were in third and manageables often early in the game, and they were able to convert. And then when they were stopped getting those third and mediums, third and shorts, that's when they started to struggle. Getting those 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4 situation where it's not an obvious passing play. That's where USF has always gotten into trouble. It's football 101. Any team will struggle when they're in 3rd and longs all night, but just give yourself just a second option at that point. And for Cade Fortin, you mentioned making the right reads, the RPO reads that Coach Scott has harped on over the last week. You're going to have to pull the ball down and take off once or twice just to keep the defense honest, keep the back end defender honest, because they're crashing down hard, because through 2 games they know you're not going to pull the ball.
Yeah, I think he pulled it once in the first 2 games. Then he picked up like 6 yards when he pulled.
Right. And I get that he's coming off a shoulder injury where he got hurt running the ball, but you're going to have to get over that hurdle. And I don't take that lightly. That's a mental thing that you're going to have to get through, and it's not just going to be an overnight thing. I think we would all want it to be an overnight thing, but it's not. So you're going to have to get popped once on a run, or I think he slid on that the play that he did pull the ball down. So he's figured that out. Let's see a little bit more of it. I think Timmy, he'll do that more often. I think he's the best athlete, on the field at any given moment for USF. So yeah, we'll ride with him having the ball, and he's got to do the opposite sometimes and give the ball up and make the correct reads there. You mentioned that the RPO to Sean Atkins. It's just the small progressive steps for this team are going to build up to where game 12 at UCF, you're competing like Louisville did last night, and you're giving them everything that they can bargain for, because before the season, Louisville got stomped by Ole Miss in week 1. Right? So it's just get steadily progress, and then you can move on and move forward. It's just building those blocks like Coach Scott has harped on all off season. That's what I'm going to see.
Yeah, and you don't, to that, what you don't want to see, what the worst thing you could see is regression from the second half of last week. You want to see them, right? You heard Jeff Scott say it to the team at after the game on the the weekly video they kind of put out, the behind the scenes stuff they put out, where he said this is the second half, we might look back on this and this will be the moment where we really turn it around. Well, If you come out this game flat, and then it's not. Then that was just a fluke, or Florida played a bunch of young guys and didn't care because they had Alabama. I don't think that's what it was. I think they played better in the second half on both sides of the ball, and you just got to carry that over. If you don't, you may come out with a win, but you won't be feeling great about it. But if they can come out fast, carry that momentum over, and do kind of what they're supposed to do, I think you'll feel much better about this team going into BYU and then the conference schedule after
that. I agree. I just get out of here with a win tonight. 24-hour rule, win or loss, celebrate it, enjoy it, and then get ready for BYU. Seth, I think that's it. Is there anything you want to touch on before we get out of here? I know we got to head down to the stadium here shortly.
I just want to say this is probably going to want to be one of the best uniform matchups in the country.
Oh, for sure.
This is going to be a great uniform matchup on ESPN Plus, correct?
Yep.
You got the SoFlo uniforms and the all blacks, and then FAMU's got fantastic uniforms, maybe some of the best in the state. They're going with the orange helmets and orange pants tonight, so that'll be a great look. It'll be aesthetically a great looking game on TV.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see those FAMU jerseys up close and personal. It's always fun. I'm excited to get the HBCUs back on the schedule. There's 2 more games between FAMU and USF. They've got Howard coming in next year, and they also have a game versus Bethune-Cookman as well. I know that was Michael Kelly had harped on getting the HBCUs, especially the in-state ones, back on the schedule. So it's good to get them back on the schedule. I'm excited for the Marching 100. It'll be I may awesome. Sneak down to the actual bowl level and just hear them for halftime. So with that, this has been another beautiful TDS Live pregame show with FAMU. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We love doing it, and we'll talk to you guys throughout the night, and we'll do a post-game wrap-up show after live from the stadium. For Seth and Nathan, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.